All right, light coverage ladies, let's put our foundation on. I'm going to show you a method that I use because I prefer a light coverage look. And in case you're not sure where you sit on the spectrum of light coverage, medium coverage, or full coverage, let me give you a basic breakdown. So light coverage typically is referring to the opacity of the product. It's basically the ability of that product to cover something up. So for instance, if I have a vein or I have a freckle, the ability or the opacity of a specific product will determine whether that gets covered up. So if I have, say for instance, 15% opacity with my makeup, that's going to be more on a light coverage spectrum. That's going to be something where I'm going to be evening out my skin tones, but you're going to see darker blemishes, darker spots poke through. And for a lot of people, that is totally fine with them. They just want to balance their skin. That is what you're going to be looking at with more of a light coverage with less opacity. Medium is where you will be getting good coverage with, say, freckles and discoloration, but it's not going to be as dramatic as if you have full coverage where you are not going to see any discoloration. It's going to be flawless. Those are the differences between light and full coverage. Now, I personally like light coverage. I like light feeling makeups, which means that I want it to feel more weightless, which means I'm going to be using less product. Now, with the products that I use, we focus on the color to cover a blemish or to cover discoloration, as well as opacity, but more we like to focus on the color and using color science to help offset that discoloration, which results in less product, less makeup texture, and it's going to be more of a skin-like finish. Another aspect of how I put this makeup on is my placement, where I'm placing it and how I'm placing it on there. That's very important. So again, I like light coverage as far as just balancing out my skin tones. I don't need every single freckle covered or every single dark vein to be absolutely just gone. I just want to balance it out so that when you see my face, there's nothing that's too distracting that's going to pull you away from my eyes as you're talking to me. I use a light coverage brush. This is called the blend brush. As you can see, it is double-ended. I've got my light fluffy side and I've got a little bit of a denser pointed tapered edge right here. This is absolutely my favorite brush when it comes to applying my foundation. I use it for other things as well, but hands down I use this one 95% of the time when I am applying my makeup. All right, so getting into the color and the product. So everybody's gonna have a different color, or I mean, obviously we're gonna have different skin tones and different problems with our face, but getting the right color and the right shade is very, very important. I do a free color match. If you are not sure what shade you are, there's a link down in the comments and you can just click on that link, answer a few questions, and I can help you pick out your shades. Now this one specifically for me, this one's called Amber. It actually has an orange undertone. If you see it in person, it's hard to tell, as orangish yellow undertone that helps to offset the discoloration of my face, including the melasma, the blemishes, veins, redness, etc. This does a really great job for me in the summertime. During the wintertime, I typically will go to a lighter color, which is called Candlelit, and that's my shade that I use usually in the wintertime when my skin doesn't have as much color to it. So now that we have talked about the shade, let's go in with the placement, okay? So when I use 3D foundation, which is just a name to basically describe that we use different colors for different parts of our face, and we don't put one color on top of the other if we can help it. We want to avoid layers. And with light coverage, that is super simple because we're not looking for a flawless look, but the lightweight is also a factor in this, wanting it to feel weightless. I'm gonna go in with my blend brush and just tap it into my color. This is Amber again. Amber Highlight is what they're called on the website. It's the reason why it's called a highlight because it can actually, it's very versatile. So for some people, this is going to be their brightening concealer color because they have darker skin than I do and they want to brighten their eyes. Whereas my brightening color is this color right here, which is called White Peach. And this is what I use as my concealer under eye. But just for today, we're just going to use one simple color. I'm just going to tap it on only in the areas that I need it. So you'll notice if you have seen any of my videos or any videos that of people using 3D foundation, you'll notice that many of them only put the color where they need it. Now, some people need more coverage than I do. They want more coverage. They have cystic acne. They have rosacea. They want to cover that up and they need more coverage overall. That is their preference. So in that case, they may put this color all over their face and then put their contour on and their blush, etc. But if you are light coverage and you are fairly minimal like me, then you are just going to place it where you need it using the shade color as well as the opacity of this cream. It is high opacity, which means you're going to use less product, which again goes back and translates into a lighter weight, lighter feeling product on your skin. Most of my discoloration actually happens across my jawline, where I would say the majority generally with people, most of their discoloration is in the center of their face. Because this is a very lightweight brush, I can go ahead and do this buffing motion, this feathering motion with my color, and have plenty of coverage as well as not disrupting the skin underneath, you know, to bring up dead skin cells. So you'll notice with my face, it's definitely a lot more balanced on my jaw and as well as my chin. Now I do have a little bit of discoloration here, so I'm gonna go and do a little spot treating. I don't feel like I need to have foundation here on this part of my forehead because I only have 2 spots that I want to diminish. So I'm going to do the spot treating method, which is just taking that color and tapping a tiny bit on those areas that I need it, and then I'm just going to make sure it's tapped in well. This is where you'll need to make sure that your shade is spot on, because if it's off, you're going to see that makeup on my face. If it's too light, you're going to see makeup texture. If it's too dark, you're going to see a weird patch. Now I'm going to use the same color for my under eyes. So far, let me recap. So far I've only used this in this area right here. I actually didn't put any up here, but just right here and down below, and then I put it in 2 areas there. When I first started using this makeup, I used the same color for under my eyes, my forehead, my jawline. But if you want to brighten under the eyes a little bit more, then you're going to find a lighter shade. It's going to be a couple shades lighter than your main shade, and put it under your eyes. But just for the sake of this video, I'm going to show you how simple it can be with just the same shade that you use on your face, if that is not a priority for you. Now I'm going to do the spot treating method under my eyes and on my inner part of my eyes as well, because there's only a few spots that are distracting under my eyes. That's a vein right here, and a little bit out here. And then over here I've got a little melasma and a little bit discoloration there, but that's only 3 spots really on either side. So I'm using just a tiny amount and just placing it on there. And I can actually go in with a finer brush if I want to, which is usually what I like to do because it allows me to use even less makeup. And under the eyes, around the mouth, or wherever you have a lot of movement, less makeup is going to be your friend as you age. If you are 35 and above, you will start to notice more divots and fine lines and areas to where that makeup is going to settle. So just try to use a very small amount of makeup. We can't typically swath the makeup up underneath our eyes as well and make it look as natural as if you do this spot treating method. It's not going to actually remove my eye bag, so if I go at a certain angle, you're going to see my eye bag, but straight on it gives the illusion that I no longer have that discoloration or eye bag. So not flawless, but it looks a lot clearer. So if we do a comparison from now and then when I first started, you'll notice just how the skin tone just looks a lot more even. Definitely not flawless, but once again, flawless is not our aim. It is to have a general polished look and to look just basically overall just better looking skin. Final recap on the foundation part is I only applied the color where I needed it. For me, that's along my jawline with some melasma and veins that I have here. And then I had a couple blemishes down here. Same with this side, melasma, and then I have a blemish right here. I also have a vein here that I don't typically try to cover up too much, but I just like to put a little bit of color on there to remove the distraction. And then I put it in 2 areas right here for 2 blemishes, and then under my eyes. It is not even on half of my face, guys, and it's in the lightest amount that I can't even feel the makeup on my face. Also, that if someone's right up close to you, they're not going to know that you have makeup on because you have a very minimal amount of makeup on, so it's going to have less makeup texture, and you also just used a very small amount for that light coverage. And then anywhere else that you want your foundation apply it where you feel like you need it. Those are the only areas that I feel like I need it. And then I would continue to go on and put my contour on and my bronzer on, my blush, my eyes. Oh, and I also set my foundation with a powder, or you can do a setting spray just depending on your preference. If you like a more matte-like finish, then go with a setting powder.